I'd like to talk to you about immunity. The government has passed so many immunity laws to protect themselves, it's ridiculous. But immunity started for prosecutors, state's attorneys, and judges, and people involved with the prosecution, like police officers and stuff, centuries ago, back to English days. This is ridiculous. People used to have morals, ethics, and told the truth. Now state's attorneys, all they want to do is brag about their conviction ratio, no matter how many innocent people they put in jail. Why is 1 in 2 people in America been arrested? Why have 1 in 3 have felony convictions? Why is 25% of the people in jail innocent of the crime they're in jail for? It's ridiculous how prosecutors can falsify evidence, use perjured testimony, complete perjury in court. Judges know this. They can lie to grand juries and get away with it. As people said, you can indict grapefruit for murder with the idiot people. They say you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, that the prosecution has to prove you guilty. This is totally untrue, a complete myth of lies that our government promotes. As a juror, the first thing you think is the police wouldn't have arrested him if he wasn't guilty or was presumed guilty, and the prosecutor wouldn't forward the case to them unless he was presumed guilty of what he was charged with or she was charged with. So the jury has a presumption of guilty before they even listen to one word of testimony. Prosecutors have shown police officers how to avoid the truth, to make it sound like he's guilty. They're not outright lying, but they are avoiding the truth so badly that it's, to me, a lie most of the time when they testify in court. We have to stop this immunity. Video cameras are stopping it. Before video cameras, the police could say anything and the guy would be convicted for assaulting an officer, even though he had his hands up and laying on the ground with his hands above his head and never did a damn thing to the police officer. The police officer would kick him a few times and then charge him with assaulting an officer and get him convicted of it because there was no video cameras for decades. And even though they all knew it was innocent, they've convicted so many people. In fact, in my case, they had me in tears, they had me broken down, they had me in and out of jail, they were threatening to take away my kids. I was almost willing to accept a 4th degree misdemeanor guilty verdict. That's the plea bargain they offered me, a misdemeanor instead of the felonies. But everybody kept telling me, you gotta fight, you're innocent. You didn't do anything to that woman. And she was a woman, they knew it. She was not a girl, 15-year-old girl, she was 22 years old, running around sleeping with a 24-year-old boy while she's supposed to be in a foster care home. But they're all immune. I tried to sue them. The social worker physically broke into my house, cutting my daughter's arm, and then refusing to let her read the papers. He was threatening my wife with deportation unless she signed that I was guilty. My daughter told her not to. If you read my book at raybly.com, it's mostly in there. Then another officer came in, picked me up off my feet with my arms behind my back, slamming my head against the wall over and over every time I tried to say something like ow or something. My kids were running in, physically knocking them to the floor, hurting them, leaving black and blue marks on my 3 kids, 5, 7, and 9, or 7, 6, 8, and 12 or something like that they were at the time. My oldest daughter was 11 or 12 at the time. And laugh about it, and kept banging me against the wall until several other lower-ranking officers with no stripes told the Sergeant Hammond they better let me go. This was abuse of his authority. He ignored them and said, "Who's got the rank here?" The third time, after a half an hour or 45 minutes of him slamming me against the wall and keeping my feet off the floor, holding my arms up behind my back, one officer says, "I'm going to report it to the captain if you don't let him go immediately," so he let me down to the floor. I wish I would have had a video camera. I tried suing him. It was his word against mine, and since he had immunity to break into my house, the social worker had immunity that I sued him for breaking in my house, physically injuring a young child, cutting her arm on the weather stripping on my door. They're still immune to do it. And in '85, there was no video. Thank God for video now, but they pay off real quick instead of letting you go to court if you have a video, because they know the immunity, it will be dismissed in court. And they don't want the American public to know that all these damn officials, from code enforcers to police officers to social workers to state's attorneys to judges, are all 100% immune no matter how bad they want to screw you. We got to stop this immunity and start putting these people in jail. I mean, they should get twice as long as the normal person because they know right from wrong. They should if they took the job as a state's attorney. That you don't falsify evidence. That to hell with your record. Like Kirk Smoke bragged when he was running for mayor of Baltimore a decade ago, 2 decades ago, that I have a 98% conviction ratio. How many innocent people did he put in jail to get that ratio? Have you ever heard a state's attorney say, "We found out this guy was innocent, so we dropped charges"? No, that's not a news headline. They don't want that. They're there to win, even if the person is innocent. They don't give a damn. They want to win and prosecute him and put him in jail, because that's what they're in charge of doing as a prosecutor. There's like this new little girl in Baltimore City. She's lost a few cases and she's mad because the judges were right to drop charges against these people. But she wants to find other ways to charge them. And she's immune to keep falsifying evidence, which the previous prosecutor did, and everything else, trying to get convictions, because that makes a bigger name, so next time she can run for mayor. And then state's attorney, something else, congressman, senate. I mean, we got to put term limits on all of them too, with no pay or benefits. When they no retirement from serving your country. It's ridiculous what they vote for themselves and how much they have voted to protect themselves in the last century. Stand behind me and stand up. Ask your lawyer. Everybody knows a lawyer, or has a friend that's a lawyer, or a relative that's a lawyer. Can state's attorney falsify evidence, use perjured testimony? Does police officers lie all the time in court and falsify evidence? Do judges do this also? And you'll find out they're immune to do it. No civil, you can't civilly sue them, and criminally they can never be charged. They can be forced out of office by the Attorney General of the state, but that very seldomly happens. Everything's usually just pushed under the rug, and they just continue to do it. Like in my case, over and over, new judges, new prosecutors in my case, my criminal conviction just keeps pushing it and ignoring me. I can't wait for one of these terrorist countries to send a nuke and take out all of Washington, even though I'd be vaporized with the rest of them. That's how much I hate this government and what it's done to me. I'm not supporting them. I don't like the terrorist groups, but I can understand what America does to them and what they've done to me. Thank you very much for your time.